Okay?
Hello?
Okay. So, okay, live ka na. Mag-intro ka na. Bakit maingay? Bakit may background?
Okay, sir, on the air na.
Okay. On the air ka na.
Okay, maraming salamat po at assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh sa lahat po ng ating mga tagapagkinig. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Ito sa Edileson TV News Online, Servisyo Publiko, Tinig ng Mamamayan. At sa ating ulat sa ating mga area of responsibility, napapisa ng PDFR ang white crystalline substance na nagkakahalaga ito ng 4 million pesos. Kaya naman, huli sa sinasang drug buy-bust operation ng PDEA at PNP ang isang ating police at isang babaeng kasama nito sa bahay ng Quezon Avenue Parang Road sa Cavite City, alas 7 ng gabi. Nasagumpay na nahuli ang nasabing pulis at ang kasama nitong babae kung sabi sa PDEA undercover agent pala ang kanilang transaksyon at nabibentahan ng nasabing shabu. Abot sa 4 million piso halaga ng shabu, ang nakapista sa dalawang suspect na kinilalang si Staff Sergeant Moji Bitayo City na nakadistino sa Sultan Kudarat Municipal Police Station, habang kinilala naman ang kasama nitong babae na si Farida Alim Alfonso. Nakuha sa dalawang mga suspect ang 12 kasasye ng hinihinalay white crystalline substance na may estimated value ng 4,080,000 pesos at iba pang mga kagamitan nito. Sa kasalukuyan ngayon ay nakakulong ang mga suspect sa PDEA Custodial Facility kung saan nakatakdang sambahat ng kasong paglabag sa RA 9165 o Cooperative Dangerous Drugs Act. Kaya naman nagpagubay ang kinasang operasyon sa pakikipagtulungan ng PDEA Marine Battalion Landing Team 5 dito sa lungsod ng Cotabato Police Station 1 at iba pa. Samantala sa iba pang ulat, komersyo sa Lamitan City umunlad at mas pinaiksing pa ang seguridad ang komersyo sa Lamitan. Kaya naman lalo pang pinalawig pa ng pulisya at militar ang seguridad sa Lamitan City kaugnay ng inisyatibo ng mga lokal na sektor na napabuti ang imahe ng lungsod sa mga kapitalistang negosyante na mga tagalabas. Anyang Lamitan City, Sabala City at 11 pang mga bayan sa Basilan ay kilala na ngayon bilang bagong investment hub ng Bangsamoro Region o ligtas sa destinasyon ng mga investors mula sa iba't ibang rehiyon at sa ibang bansa. Resulta ng pagsuko ng mahigit 400 o 400 na mga miyembro ng Abu Sayyaf sa probinsya mula noong 2016 sa inisyatibo ito ng mga lokal na government units ng pulisya at ng 101st Infantry Brigade. Ayon naman sa pahayag nitong Sabado, January 6, 2024, ni Brigade General Alvin Luzon, Commander ng 101 o 101st Infantry Brigade, kasama sila Lamitan City Mayor Roderick Farigay, si Basilan Governor Haji Man Saliman, ang Lamitan City Police Station at ang Basilan Provincial Police Office sa kanilang pagbabantay sa lungsod at upang mapanatili ang kapayapaan na naramdam na ngayon sa barangay na sakop nito. Ang 45 na barangay na sakop ng Lamitan City ay akma para sa malawakang propagasyon ng Cavendish banana na naibibenta sa ibang bansa, mga short-term crops katulad ng hybrid corn at mga exotic fruits gaya ng lansunis, durian at mangosteen. Ayon sa mga opisyal ng Agriculture, Trade and Investment Ministry ng Bangsamoro Autonomous Region and Muslim Mindanao or NCIT dito sa lungsod ng Cotabato, Minister Abraham Ray Tariq. So sa iba pang ulat, Iba yung paghahanda ngayon ng ika-5th founding anniversary ng Bansang Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. Kaya naman nalalapit na ang anniversary ng pagkakatatag ng VARM government at ngayon ay pinaghahandaan na. Pinaunahan ito ni VARM Assistant Senior Minister at Project Tabang Manager Abdullah Don Kusain ang pagpupulong bilang bahagi ng paghahanda sa ibang celebration ng ika-5th founding anniversary sa pagkatatag ng VARM government. At ito ay isinagawa sa Ridi VARM nito lamang Enero 5, 2024, araw ng Biyernes. Ito ay ang pangunahing ayunin ay upang lalo pang mapaghandaan at mapag-usapan ng masusinan ng lahat ng ministries ang nakatakdang mga programa at ang posibleng mga aktibidades na nauukol sa gaganating payak ng celebration. Ngunit payak ng celebration ng anniversary ng VARM government, ngunit ito ay kakaiba paghahanda compare sa naunang taon. So, ito ay ginulungan itong Biyernes ng mga ministries at mga ahensya ng pamahalang Bangsamoro, Autonomous Region ng Muslim Mindanao. At saan giging masaya, makulay at kapaki-pakinabang ang darating na selebrasyon ng pagdiriwang ng ika-5 taong pagkakatatag ng Bangsamoro government sa ni VARM Assistant Senior Minister Project Tabang Manager Abdullah Don Kusain. At dagdag pa ni Tabang Manager Don Kusain na ipagpapatuloy pa rin ang paghahatid ng magagandang programa at ang serbisyo para sa mga mamamayang VARM sa pamumuno ni VARM Chief Minister Ahod Balawag Ibrahim Al-Haj. Samantalang sa iba pang ulat,
Go ahead.
Parliament page, ayon sa Parliament page na ating pong nakalap na balita, ay nakatakda na umano Sir Abs ang mga talaan ng schedule ng public consultation para sa BTA Bill number 267 ito isang batas na nagtatakda para sa paglikha ng parliamentary district sa Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. At ito'y nakasaad ayon sa BTA Parliament sa kanilang pahina Bangsamoro Concession Authority Public Consultation BTA number 267, an act providing for the creation of parliamentary districts in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. Kaya naman this coming January 15, 2024 ay magkakaroon ng public consultation BTA number 267 dito sa lungsod ng Cotabato VARM. And then, ganun din sa January 16 o Enero 16, 2024 ay baganapin naman sa Parang, Maguindanao del Norte. And kasama na doon ang Special Geographic Area like Mitsayap and North Cotabato on January 16. And then sa January 18, 2024, Salana del Sur and Marawi City and Maguindanao del Sur. Sheriff Agua, So sa 18, tatlo, Salana del Sur, Marawi City, Maguindanao del Sur. So, dalawa rin. So, this coming January 29 naman, 2024, ay magkakaroon din ng, what you call this, public consultation sa may Tawi-Tawi o Bungaw, Sulu, 1st District o Patikul, Sulu, Second District, Look. So, tatlo, sa Tawi-Tawi, Sulu, and Sulu 1 and Sulu 2 District. So, January 30 naman, sa katapusan ng Enero 2024, ay pinakahuli diyan sa Basilan, Isabela City. Sa yesterday. Meron pa ba tayong oras para sa aking final report?
Sige, go ahead.
Okay, anyway, sa ating final report, ayon sa ating nakalap na balita sa kasamang Sir Abs, magkakaroon umano ng facing the media training. So, ayon dito sa sinabi umano ni NILG VARM Minister Attorney Sherilya Dumama Alba, ang bagong NILG Minister, ay magkakaroon ng training. Ang lahat ng mga members of the Parliament at Minister ng VARM Government sa pakikipag-ugnayan ng sa mga media practitioner upang mas mapalakas umano ang pagbibigay ng mas makabuluhan at up-to-date na informasyon sa publiko. Ano? So, ayon kay Attorney Dumama Alba ay ngayong buwan ng Enero ay tinatawag na Facing the Media Training. Ito ay katuwang dito ay ang Bangsamoro Information Office o BIO. So, ayon sa kanya, sa ganitong pamamaraan o pagsasanay ay Commissioner Shailina Dumama ay maging maganda ang collaboration and coordination ng ating mga Member of Parliament at ang Ministeryo sa mga kagawad ng media practitioners. So, magkakaroon ng easy access ayon sa kanya and up-to-date na informasyon kung kinakailangan na malaman sa publiko.
Okay,
Yes,
maganda.
Sir Ab?
Okay, maganda ang umpisa po ni itong si Elijah. Okay, MLG si Attorney Elijah Dumaba Alba, no?
Yeah,
Okay,
Attorney Shailina.
Okay.
Dumama Alba.
Okay, yun ang maganda na may ugnayan po ang mga tagapamahayag sa kanila, no? Sa BARM government. Okay, mag-participate ka. Okay.
Yes, inshallah kung tayo ay papalarin Sir Abs, actually kanina nandun tayo sa MLG kasama ng ating mga young media practitioner like PSDSI News and what we call it, BNB News. Kasama po natin kanina at nakapag-appointment na tayo kaso nagkaroon sila ng meeting sa loob ng MILG at marami pang mga bisita. Si Attorney Dumama, no? Galing pa ng iba't ibang lugar like Sulu, Basila, na marami siyang visitor kanina at isa pa lahat ng kanyang mga Sony diyan sa BTA ay kanyang magkaroon sila ng meeting. So, unahin muna niya yung mga sa loob ng kanyang opisina bago siya mag-entertain ng ibang mga bisita or courtesy visit. Maliban doon sa napakalayong lugar. Kung dito lang sa Cotabato, okay naman. Pwede pa naman i-extend yung appointment kung as possible.
Saan niya ginanap ang training ng mga media yan? Diyan lang sa Cotabato o sa ibang lugar?
So, Sir Abs, kaya nga kanina gusto natin mag-interview kay Attorney Dumama kaso hindi pa tayo nagkaroon ng pagkakataon dahil naging abala po siya kanina. Gusto ko natin makapanayam at makuha ang kanyang suggestion o kanyang opinion about this, kung kailan mag-umpisa at kung saan ito at paano ito gagawin at paano makikipag-participate ang ating mga kapwa media practitioner na talaga ng mga what we call this, mga media industry sa ating Bangsamoro na Muslim media lang.
Saibuhin mo kay Attorney Alba Dumama, ang outfit natin ay corporation na, no? Okay, hindi na basta-basta po hindi na basta-basta po. Kung kailangan yung mga document, okay, padala natin mga document natin. Basta corporation na po ang outfit natin, no? Yun ang imensahe mo sa kanya kung meron ka chance. Bahala ka naman dyan na kasi hindi ako makatravel na hindi ako makatravel parang nahirapan ako mag-travel.
May nagtatanong siya, kailan ka daw pupunta dito sa Mindanao, ay sa Cotabato?
Yun na nga kuhan lang sana kung malakas pang katawan natin, gusto ko mag-travel dyan, no? Pero yun na nga, medyo...
Kasi in case of papalarin tayo at makikipag-ugnayan si Atty. Alba, baka kung papalarin tayo makasali, siguro pwede naman tayo sumari lahat dito sa Ibereche. Yung malapit tayo dito like isa, at yung mga active media practitioner natin dito sa Ibereche.
Noted. Wala problema. Basta dyan ka na, dyan ang LSN TV News Corporation. Okay. Wala nang problema. Basta nandiyan ka na. Okay, wala na represent mo ng outfit natin. Okay, Tata.
Okay, yeah. While I'm reporting this, saan ka po ba nag-live? Sa YouTube o sa Facebook? Para sa kaalaman ng ating mga mga tagapakinig, further information at saan nila mapapanood.
Sa Facebook meron tayo. Okay, sa YouTube meron tayo at saka sa ibang mga katulad ng X. Okay, X dating Twitter. So ngayon X na.
Okay.
Kay Elon Musk. Okay, papasok tayo diyan po. Tata, pag mag-live ako rito, automatic papasok na yun, no? Dati marami yun, pati mga Pinterest, papasok tayo, pero ewan ko, hindi ko na check ang Pinterest. Basta marami. Okay, marami. Okay, dati sa mga LinkedIn na, papasok tayo. Okay.
Okay, anyway, after your program, may share natin yan, sa madla. Para naman para sa kaalaman ng ating mga tagapakinig na tayo po naman ay muling nagbabalik dahil 3 months po tayo nawala, no? Since tayo, meron tayong equal important dito sa ating trabaho.
Okay, mag-aral ka. Kasi galing ka mag-aral. Okay, tatay, mag-exo ka na. Kasi marami pa kung...
Okay, yan muna ang ating ulat. Mula dito sa lungsod ng Katagpatulang sa Marotalamas Radio ng Muslim Mindanao para sa Evolution TV News Online. Service Public Patinig lang mamamayan ako si Sir Benjamin reporting.
Salamat. Okay, salamat tata. Sige, mag-break muna tayo.
The Executive Vice President of the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft. From Dubai, Hafsa Halawa, an independent consultant who works on political, social and economic affairs across the Middle East, North Africa and the Horn of Africa. And in Washington, D.C., Gaurav Bhagat, Professor of National Security Affairs at National Defense University's Near East South Asia Center for Strategic Study. A warm welcome to you all. Before we talk about Anthony Blinken's visit to the region, I just want to take a moment to address the targeted killing of Hamza Abdul, son of our Gaza Bureau Chief Wael Abdul, on the very day that Blinken arrives in Qatar. Previous visits by Blinken have coincided with major Israeli actions against Palestinians. Back in October, more than 1 million Palestinians were ordered to leave northern Gaza while Blinken was in Israel. An explosion along one of the so-called safe routes killed 70 people. A few days later, on October 17th, Israeli attacks on the Al-Aqli Baptist Hospital killed 471 people. During yet another Blinken visit in November, Israel targeted a UN-run school in the Jabalia refugee camp. At least 15 people were killed, dozens more were injured. At the end of the brief ceasefire in December, Israel resumed its attacks. Its forces increased their strikes in the southern Gaza Strip a day after Secretary of State Antony Blinken urged Israel to do more to protect civilians. And now, during Blinken's latest visit, the son of our Gaza Bureau Chief, Hamza al-Bathroul, has been killed by an Israeli airstrike in southern Gaza. Twitter, are the Israelis trying to send some sort of message here, do you think? This can't be just coincidence, can it?
It certainly doesn't come across as a coincidence, and it's very clear that the number of journalists killed in this conflict far exceeds that of any other recent conflict. More than 100 so far, and I think it's also affected the reporting coming out of Gaza in the sense that we're seeing less images, less reporting, precisely because those who can report have been silent. Given the fact that the Israelis are resisting even the very limited pressure that Biden is putting on them in regards to how to handle the war in Gaza. It wouldn't be surprising if this is one of their efforts to up the ante right before Blinken arrives in the region in order to signal how much they will resist any effort by the Biden administration that doesn't come with clear pressure, such as putting the aid to Israel to make it contingent upon them living up to certain standards. As long as there's no real pressure, it seems that the Israelis will continue to behave in this way.
We'll discuss, we'll come to pressure and what pressure can be applied to the Israelis in just a few minutes. But first, Blinken says that we'll be looking at what can be done to maximize the protection of civilians in Gaza and increase deliveries of humanitarian assistance. But with more than 22,000 dead now, many of them women and children, does that ring hollow to you? It's too little too late, isn't it?
Well, I think it's not just too little too late, Adrian, and thank you very much for having me. I think it's also completely false. Nothing in the US's real policy actions beyond certain doublespeak that we see or tweets that are written by the teams of everybody from the Secretary of State to the President of the United States and other members of the government seems to signal that there is any material pressure on Israel, not just to protect civilians or to prevent this level of civilian death, but also, in fact, to bring this war to any kind of conclusion or to halt the current hostilities that we see in Gaza or in the West Bank or in occupied East Jerusalem. At the end of the day, nothing that we've seen since October 7th from anyone in this administration signals that the US is anything but supportive of this war, and really the red lines seem to hinge on how much they're willing to back the expansion of this conflict by Israel.
Professor Bhagat, just a week ago, as we were hearing, Blinken approved the sales of Israel of 155mm artillery shells and related equipment, determining that the emergency required the immediate sale of Israel, thereby waiving congressional review requirements. And yet here he is in the region, supposedly to talk peace. I mean, this visit reeks of hypocrisy, doesn't it?
The United States has very consistent policy to stop the war, and it is important to point out that Israel does not listen all the time to the United States, and in American media lately they highlighted some kind of disagreement between Biden administration and the government of Netanyahu. And I believe also it is important to understand there is difference between private diplomacy and public diplomacy. The United States government, it will not help to go in front of camera and condemn Israel, but my understanding, senior American officials, when they meet with their Israeli counterparts, they push as hard as they can to use smart weapons to minimize the killing of innocent people, because escalation is against the U.S. national interest.
Trevor, what do you make of that? Does the U.S. have any sway over the Israeli government, any leverage at all, given what we were hearing there from the professor? You know, he said that Israel just isn't listening to the U.S. To what extent is the current situation directly the fault of the Biden administration's policy? How much of the blame for the current suffering in Gaza does the U.S. have to bear?
Well, the Israelis are not listening because they don't have to listen, because the United States is not making them listen. The idea that the United States is much tougher in private may be true, but it's not tough enough because we're not seeing any effect of it. Reality is the United States has a tremendous amount of leverage. It is choosing not to use it. The United States has shipped 10,000 tons of weapons and ammunition to Israel since the beginning of this war. According to an Israeli Major General in an interview last month, who made it very clear, if the United States were to halt the flow of weapons and ammunition to Israel, Israel would not be able to continue this fight. It's very clear that the United States has leverage, but choosing not to use it. And that raises the question that you just asked: to what extent is then the United States also responsible for the killings that are taking place right now? And I think the Biden administration is somewhat nervous, as they should be, about the complaint of the South African government accusing Israel of genocide and taking this to the International Court of Justice. If Israel is found to be guilty of genocide, it will have implications for the United States as well, mindful of its extensive aid to Israel during this period.
Why, Twitter, is the U.S. not pressuring Israel when it's not happy with what's going on?
Well, I am so sure that it's not happy, because reality is that the earlier impression that the Biden administration was trying to stop this but didn't have leverage, I don't think has been proven to be compatible with reality. Biden signed on to the Israeli military objective of eliminating Hamas. He wanted Israel to do to Hamas what the United States could not do to the Taliban. because of that, he has stood in the way of any ceasefire, any attempt to bring the war to an end, short of first having eliminated Hamas. And that's why I think we have to accept that the United States is actually in support of this policy. It is not trying to stop it.
Hafsa, I know you want to come in. Let me just throw it back to Professor Magak, though. You wanted to say something there.
Thank you. There is no doubt that United States has a lot of leverage. U.S. foreign aid to Israel is huge, but also it is important not to underestimate Israel as sovereign country, and Israel is one of the richest countries in the world and one of the strongest military power in the Middle East and in the world. Israel does not take orders from United States, and basically United States, like any country, does what it believes is in its best interest. And escalation in the Middle East, killing innocent people, this is bad for the United States, and I have no doubt that United States wants to end the war, to minimize the killing of innocent people, and there are many disagreements between US and Israel, one of them about eliminating Hamas. United States does not believe that Hamas can be eliminated.